So tonight the only thing I care about doing is refactoring our units. I think this is like the one hard part we need to power through, and then everything else should be easy. So, or well, everything else should be easy for a little while. So let's grind this out, I guess. I think we want to keep our game.map.units table. I think that's the correct place to store that data. don't think this is going to work right, but it may not crash. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, see, there's just a little bit to change. That actually wasn't too painful. Obviously, the problem is now anyone can move anyone's units. We don't want that, of course. But that fundamental restructuring is actually just about done. Oh hey, Captain Meow. Yeah, it's sort of like Advance Wars. The core conceit. So it's going to be a turn-based tactical game, and yeah, Advance Wars is my primary inspiration. But I have like two primary game mechanics I want to explore. The primary mechanic is that, you know how in Advance Wars, or like any tactical game, right? You've got, you know, your tanks and your planes and your boats, your infantry or whatever, but really that's just like an abstraction on top of a bunch of math, right? Like, you know, the different unit attacks and defenses and hit points and range and movement speeds and all that is different. And ultimately, again, like whether it's a infantry or a tank or whatever, that's just like a facade on what's a spreadsheet, right? The mechanic I want to explore here is removing that facade. The game title tentatively is Balance of Power, and the idea is that I want to expose to the player the underlying statistics on each unit and allow them to balance the powers, right? Like, let's say, for example, you know, I haven't thought this all the way through by any means yet, but let's say, as an example, each unit has like attack, defense, movement, hit points, and I don't know, maybe that's it. I don't know. And let's say each can have a value somewhere between 0 and 5, I don't know. And let's say your power budget per unit is like 10 or something, right? So then, you know, what you would have to do to play the game is allocate, let's tentatively call it the power budget for each unit. And I think that'll be interesting because that'll expose this kind of I think it'll expose this kind of metagame mechanic where, you know, not only are your tactical decisions on the map significant, but also how you engineer your units is significant. Because, like, you know, if you and I are playing each other and maybe I build some high defense unit, I mean, what do, right? Do you build a long range unit and get out of my striking distance, or do you build a like a glass cannon, no hit points but high attack unit or whatever. I just think it might be kind of interesting. So that's the first core idea. The second core idea is I want to make it such that, unlike I think every other tactical game I've ever played, I want it such that each player only moves one unit at a time. Because like I think I'm an above average tactical game player in general, and what I've found, at least versus the CPU, is that when you're able to move every unit, like all of your units, before the other guy is able to do anything, you can just win in 2 turns or something. Like, you can put yourself in such a powerful position, the other guy's just totally lost, right? Zabran a ton of entry. Yeah, see, I mean, that's a strategy, right? Like the Zerg Rush thing or whatever, I guess. So I think removing that facade and just letting players directly manipulate these underlying stats could be cool. So yeah, those are the 2 core mechanics. One is let the players manipulate the underlying stats, and 2 is make it such that everyone can only move one piece at a time. The other advantage, there are a couple advantages of that second constraint of moving one piece at a time too. And the first, like I said, is it prevents one player from having like an overwhelming advantage, right? The second thing is when we reach the point where we're writing an algorithm for the CPU, I think it's going to be a lot easier to do that. Because essentially you only have to make it such that so it's not like an initiative roll. It's just going to be it's going to be I take a turn, you take a turn, I take a turn, you take a turn. It's more like chess, really, and less like Advanced Wars there. And again, the chess is intentional because I want to, when it's time to write the CPU algorithm, I want to be able to look at kind of the body of research that has gone into computer chess, because I mean that's decades of work that we can look at, and unlike most tactical turn-based games, if I turn on an NES and play the Chess Master or whatever, the Chess Master is going to kick the shit out of me, right? I mean, computers are incredibly good at chess, and I think part of the reason why is again that constraint of you only move one unit per turn. I think it's just like computationally easier to only require that your algorithm look, I don't want to say one move ahead because that's not really what these computers are doing, but I think there's just less imagination, for lack of a better word, when you're only trying to move one piece at a time. Like, you can move each unit in isolation, and then it's like a depth search versus a breadth or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I'm going with that because the other thing I'm trying to do here is like as a goal, I would be very pleased if this game were hard to play, or hard to win, I should say. If the CPU were hard to beat, even on an even match. Because again, like Advanced Wars or whatever, like it can be challenging, I guess, but that's primarily because they put the CPU in like an overwhelming material advantage from the start. Yeah, no sweat, Captain Meow. No sweat at all. So yeah, what I would consider this a complete success if I were to create a map and put me and the CPU even on material, and the CPU wins. If that happened, I think this would be a brilliant success. The other last thing I'm trying to do here, and this is a stretch goal for sure, but I think it would be super, super interesting to try to make the AI powered by a neural net. I have no idea if that's feasible. I don't know if we've talked about this before or not, but the interesting thing about this environment I'm working in is that this is something called Pico 8, and the gist is that this is like an emulator for fantasy hardware. It's an emulator for hardware that never existed, but that hardware is computationally like on par with like a Commodore 64 or something. And to give you a sense of the constraints here, first of all, the game screen you see is 128 pixels squared, at least 128 logical pixels. Like it's upsizing the logical pixels per the physical pixels of my monitor, but logically it's 120 pixels square, and I have, I think, 2 megs of RAM to work with, and there are only 16 colors, and the entire game, including the source code, the art assets, the music, everything, has to be inside of 32 kilobits. So the whole point of this is that it's incredibly small. Like it's an incredibly resource-constrained environment, and that's fun and challenging. And back to my neural net talk, what I'm trying to do, this is challenging for a couple of reasons, but I'm trying to write the code such that it can run within the context of Pico 8 and also on bare metal on my actual computer. Because what I would like to try to do, and this is currently way over my head, but what I would like to try to do would be make it such that I can set up 2 CPUs to just battle each other for a couple days in real time outside of the environment, where I throw all my actual compute hardware at this thing, let them train each other up, and then take the output of that and embed it in the game as the series of neural weights or whatever it is. And I might have to take some kind of a hybrid approach of a bit of just traditional algorithmic programming to simplify like the space of the problem, like to simplify the understanding of the world that each computer opponent would have, and then they can play each other. But I don't know. That's challenging. I've never done that before, and part of the reason I'm working on this at all is because it's allowing me to explore problems that I don't get to do as part of my regular job or whatever. So we may or may not get there, but as a consequence of aiming for trying to get there, I'm also designing this game from like an algorithm first kind of perspective. Build 2 AIs and make them fight. That's exactly it, and make them fight, thousands or millions of times, right? Outside of the constraints of this very limited environment. That's the idea. And I've done like 1 or 2, I guess I would say, machine learning projects in the past, but I've never done anything with neural nets. And I didn't do it in Lua, which is the language I'm working in here. So there's a lot to learn, but it's fun. I'm enjoying it. I'm learning stuff. So maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, but that's where I'm trying to go. My kind of roadmap in general is, first, I'm just going to build a 2-player game with no AI at all, and the adversary will be your, roommate or whatever, right? But once I have a functioning 2-player game, then I'll start thinking more about how that AI stuff should work. Yeah, it is pretty fun though. It's given me like an excuse to get into a lot of stuff, like music. I was telling you in Discord, I mentioned Discord, I bought this synthesizer, and I've been kind of screwing around with ideas for themes and stuff, because like right now, what we're listening to is just some generic Commodore 64 playlist I found, but eventually I want to have our own actual music for the game, and I'll get into pixel art, because like what I have here is, obviously everything you see on screen just looks like garbage, right? Like the title screen and stuff, this all looks like total garbage. But that doesn't matter, because I'm writing it. Yeah, I didn't write this music. And again, the space constraints are such that I'll probably only have the space to do 3 or 4 small songs at a maximum. But I'd like to try it. I'd like to try the pixel art. Right now, in terms of how I'm approaching the problem, I'm writing the engine first, because this is the environment is intentionally very primitive. Like, you have to program everything. You got to make all the menus. You got to program everything. So I'm just making it such that the engine is more or less solid first, And then once I have like something that kind of functions approximately like a video game, then I'll go and yeah, and that'll make it pretty. I'll probably do everything myself though. I don't think I'll involve other people just because it's, I don't know, I enjoy collaborating with people, and I do that in the open source world. But here I just kind of want to just own this thing and be a dictator and not collaborate and just do everything myself, you know? So I think I'll probably go it alone here. And I'm sure the result will be worse than if I had paired with, you know, competent partners. But again, whatever. It's like a for fun project, so who really cares? But that's the plan in a nutshell right there. By the way, as an aside, can you hear my voice well enough? I don't actually talk too much in here. I don't know if my voice is above the audio or what. I can look at these. I got visualizers and OBS, but I don't know if those are accurate or what. Good mix? Okay, thank you. Thank you. But then, yeah, tonight what we're doing is, you know, in general in software development, because software is a very malleable medium, what you tend to do is you take a stab at a problem, and some things you get right, some things you get wrong, and then you iterate on that, and generally that iteration process is called refactoring, where you rewrite some code. So, yeah, you did double the view count. There might be another person here, allegedly. I don't know. Yeah, got a huge crowd tonight, 2 people. So now I'm just trying to refactor this because I had kind of painted myself into a corner before, where a lot of the code I'd written functioned but was horribly awkward and inelegant, and now we're trying to rectify that. So, and actually hasn't been so bad. So that's what we're doing now. So now when I refactored this, I created a what you call a regression, where now it's broken in a way it was not broken previously, but that's fine and expected. This is actually going pretty okay so far. Yes, success enough. At least I don't think I'll be throwing away the changes I made tonight. So that's progress, if not outright success. And see, a lot of this stuff is like really just still horrible, even if it functions better, because some other challenges is, you know, this is my first time really doing game programming. It's my first time using Pick-O-8. It's my first time doing meaningful work in this language, which is called Lua. And then there's some challenges too, like in Pick-O-8, the language you use is called Lua. And Lua is a standalone language, independent of Pick-O-8, but the problem is Pick-O-8 only provides a subset of the functionality available in Lua, the language. So you have to sometimes write some awkward code to account for limitations, again, in Pick-O-8. Yeah, no sweat, Captain Meow. Thanks for checking in, and feel free to lurk or whatever, and I'll get back to the refactoring here. Let's see if we can get something going by the end of the session tonight. Yeah, I mean, I guess this is sort of complicated. You know, it's not that the language is terribly difficult or anything, but, you know, because you have so little tooling to work with in Pick-O-8, I think you have to be reasonably competent at software architecture to be able to do this. And again, it's not a hugely ambitious project or anything. I mean, like, really the challenge comes from how small it is rather than how large any of this is. So yeah, it's a kind of unique and fun challenge. I'm enjoying it for sure. Maybe we'll get a cool game out of it at the end if it goes all right. Yeah, that's it. You know, the building blocks individually are relatively simple. Lua is an intentionally simple language. But yeah, the challenge is taking these small building blocks and constructing the more cohesive game engine and stuff. That's where the challenge is. Not again that it's an overwhelming challenge or anything. It's not. But to the extent that this is challenging, I'd say that's where the challenge is. So I want to commit some of those changes I made, just so if I blow this up going forward, we've got a save state to fall back on. And actually that I want to take out right now. Wait. Oh, stupid. It's actually all wrong now. What's doing this? This is happening. There should be a unit there. No, there shouldn't. Okay. Gross. Terrible. I got it. So this works, but it's still all terrible though. But it's a little less terrible. Yeah, we did this on another branch before. Each unit has to know its own cell and pixel coordinates. So let's put that back. Gonna grab a drink. Be right back. So we've succeeded in merging the tables that contain each player's units into a single table. Now we need to extricate that information from this cursor code, because this is still all horrible, even though it is now better. And doing that is a prerequisite for implementing proper animations, because each unit must be made aware of its own position on the board. Whereas right now, the map tracks that, and that's not going to do it. I don't know if this is the right call, but let's experiment here. Actually working? It's all going suspiciously smoothly tonight. Sanity check, make sure this is even doing something. Yeah, alright. Where'd player 2 go? Okay. What is Pico 8? Let me link it to you. Are you aware of like emulators for like, you know, the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, that kind of thing? Just the concept of emulation. Okay, cool. So Pico 8 is like an emulator for hardware that never existed. It's an emulator for fantasy hardware, and the fantasy hardware is, you know, like approximately of the era of like the Commodore 64. It's very, very resource constrained, and that's what makes it kind of fun to work with. For some like examples of the constraints here, first of all, the screen you're seeing is only 128 pixels squared, logical pixels. They get upscaled to fit physical pixels, but 128 logical pixels squared. And your game, including the source code and music and image assets, art assets, all of that, has to fit within 32 kilobytes. So that's a hard limit on your game size, 32 kilobytes. And there are only 16 colors available for the platform. And there's a maximum character count of like 65,535 characters, something like that. So like the whole idea is, you know, it's kind of a like it gives you the feeling of programming for much older hardware on new hardware. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun so far. I only discovered this maybe 2 months ago or something like that. I stumbled onto it randomly via like a Hacker News post or something and just started dorking around with it. And it's been a lot of fun. And it's also personally allowing me to like explore different kind of programming challenges that I don't typically get to do because no code in assembly. Fortunately, it's all in Lua. All in Lua here. So if you've ever done any game scripting or whatever, Lua is a pretty common plugin language and that kind of thing. So that's kind of like one of the I would say advantages of this, right? Because like if I wanted to go program for the NES or something, I could have all the constraints I wanted, but I'd be forced to write that in assembly, at least to my knowledge. And that's a little bit hardcore for me, at least right now. But, Lua is very approachable, very accessible. Subjectively, in my opinion, I'd say it's approximately pleasant to work in. It's not my favorite language, but it's a pleasant language. I don't have any complaints with it, really. So that's the idea. It's a little bit of, like modern retro computing almost. It's been fun. The other neat thing about it too is that there's a very vibrant culture of sharing games, and within the environment itself, you're able to load and share games from each other. Yeah, it's no low level programming here. It's all in Lua, and the Pico 8 API is clean and likewise small and friendly. What I linked you there, I think it's an unofficial resource, but as far as I can tell, it seems to be accurate. It's been what I've been working against. And if you look at it, like, all you really get here are primitives for graphics stuff and map stuff, music stuff, memory stuff. But again, that's the charm. You know, if I wanted to work in Unity or something, I would go work in Unity. You know, if I wanted powerful tools and a lot of abstraction between me and the quote unquote metal or the machine, I don't have that here, and I don't want that here. You know, Unity and stuff, I'm not knocking it. They're wonderful tools. Those kind of tools are, but that's just not what I'm looking to do right now. Are you a programmer, Suburtus, either professionally or as a hobbyist? You do any programming? A CS student? Very cool. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to ask. For what it's worth, I used to be an adjunct professor at the University of Florida for a little while, so I have some teaching background, though in this case, like I said, I'm the student here too, because I'm new to game programming, new to Lua, new to Pico 8, so I'm stumbling through it, but you know, happy to answer questions to the extent that I'm able to. Probably getting relatively close to wrapping up for the night here. I had just been doing some refactoring tonight on this code that allows us to move units around. Previously, I had too much information pertaining to units embedded in code that manages the cursor. And as a consequence, like specifically what I lacked was the units were not aware of their own positions, either in cell coordinates or pixel coordinates. And that was preventing me from animating transitions as I move the units from point to point, because right now you can see they kind of teleport around the board. And what I would prefer would be just a subtle animation as you know, slide them or whatever. But we probably won't get to animating tonight, but we made some good progress on the refactoring, so that's exciting. I kind of expected this to be a bit more painful than it was. I found some bug though. What was that? If I select a unit, I can place it on top. Yeah, I can select an enemy unit. So I might be able to fix that now, actually. Actually, it's probably just even this. Because we don't want to be able to select units that are not our own. Oh, whoops. So I'm player 1. I select a unit. I click on a red guy, and he moved on top of him. That's not correct. So let me move this red guy. This is annoying. No, the map is, I generated it by hand. So pick a weight, it gives you the game environment here. But it also gives you this little shell with a few commands and stuff. And among the shell, you have some built-in tools. So one, here's this code editor, and this is cute and I like it, but I'm gonna work in Vim instead of this for kind of obvious reasons visually. But in Pick a Weight, you get a sprite editor, like a tile editor, and then a map editor, which references your sprites, your tiles. So here I've just stubbed out some maps. And then likewise, you get some built-in tone generation tools and like a music tracker. And I haven't done anything yet with the music stuff, and I haven't even really done anything with the map or sprites yet. What I wanted was some rectangles of different dimensions so I could move the cursor around and ensure that I didn't slip out of bounds or anything like that with it. But in general, the way I'm approaching the problem here of making this game is I'm writing the engine first. And when the engine is in good enough shape and I'm satisfied with the state of the code, then I'm going to go back and actually do like game design kind of stuff. But for now, I'm really just focused on the engine. So visually, of course, everything looks like complete garbage now. But yeah, I figure I'll get the engine in shape, and that'll probably take, kind of casually working on it, maybe the end of the December or something. Our engine will be in good shape, and then we'll have we'll make a second pass through the game. We'll actually make it less of a tech demo and more of a playable game. And then, in terms of the roadmap, like the other thing I intend to do is first just make it a playable two-player game and not worry about the complexity of programming an AI at all. And then when I'm happy with the state of the two-player game, well, then I'll go back and I'll start coding in an AI in one of a handful of ways I haven't decided upon yet. But that's kind of the big picture, plan there. But yeah, tonight was all about refactoring this engine, which is, it's kind of an overstatement to call this an engine, obviously, but the foundational code for this game. It was in bad shape, and it's still in bad shape, but it's in better shape. Trying to decide if I want to try to fix this bug tonight or just comment it and move on, because I'm probably wrapping up here. Oh, and this menu is currently a lie. You hit any button, you go into the game, but eventually I want a one-player mode, a two-player mode, and I would like to get to the point where I do procedurally generate maps, because I think that'd be a lot of fun for this kind of thing, because given the nature of the platform and given its constraints, I don't anticipate anyone would ever sit down and play this game like Fire Emblem, where you lock in for 10 hours and you play it, right? I mean, you might, if it's like a good game, if it ends up fun, I expect you to sit down and play it for 10 or 15 minutes at a time or whatever. So I think the ability to generate quick little maps and play them and generate a new one, I think that'd be pretty cool. I think that'd fit the game well. So what was that bug, though? Oh yeah, I was gonna move this red guy first of all, because this is annoying. Okay. Well, here, let's do, I don't know. Let's pretend we care and put you at 10-7. So what's the deal? Did I back out of this? Yeah. So I select a guy. Okay, and I can drop him on. Oh. And see, that duplication is really stupid, so that needs to get refactored out. Because that'll be a source of bugs forever. Wait. I'm red. I select my guy, I click on an enemy, and I select the enemy. And I unselect my guy. So the reason he disappeared a second ago is because those two numbers, those coordinate pairs were out of sync. Okay, so that's, that actually might even be intended behavior, but I'll document it. Yeah, okay. So next time we look at this, I want to refactor out this duplication of unit coordinate information. And the unit stuff is certainly improved, but I'm still not in love with it. So we might take another pass through refactoring that in general. But I don't want to commit to that yet because we're gonna want to figure this out before we start trying to optimize the other stuff. When did I start this project? I started working off stream probably about a month ago or something like that, and then I did it for a few nights and realized I really liked it, and then started streaming it maybe a month ago. I haven't been working on this long at all. It's fun too, again, back to Pico 8 being like a small little ecosystem, like a little environment here. What I'm finding is you can make a lot of progress pretty quick because there's just not much in your way, like it's you and this API of 20 or 30 methods or something. There's just not a lot. Well, okay, maybe 50 methods. There's just not a lot to learn, and what there is to learn is pretty small. So you can really jump in right away and start hacking on stuff. And then the other cool thing too is there's a lot of, like I mentioned, there's tooling in place built into Pico 8 for browsing out people's games and stuff. I'll show you that real quick. Let me commit this. Actually, no, I'm done. I'm done, right? Yeah, I'd save some notes. Who cares? So check this out. So we can exit our game, and then what is it? Explore. You type explore. Oh, forgot. I haven't downloaded these demos yet. Yeah, okay. So this is built right into Pico 8. There's like all of these little games you can poke at and stuff. So this is someone took the Pico 8 Celeste. Oh, hey, this is neat. Neat trivia. Have you played Celeste, the one everyone knows? The popular one. Somehow you can get the source of games. I don't know how. I forget. I rebuilt my computer recently and I haven't installed these demos yet. But anyway, what I was going to say is if you have played Celeste on Steam or the Switch or whatever, spoilers, but in the game you can find a Pico 8 console and you can use it to play the Pico 8 version of Celeste. And I played through Celeste, and when I found that, at the time, I thought Pico 8 was just some imaginary thing that they made for the game, but really it's this. And what I learned is that Celeste, the game, was prototyped in Pico 8. So if you want to go play the Pico 8 prototype for Celeste, it's somewhere for download in Explore here. I thought that was really cool because, again, I thought that was total fantasy lore for the game, but not at all. Yeah, no, it was a really fun Easter egg for sure. Really, really cool one. I had no idea. I beat Celeste like last year or something and didn't find out until, randomly about a month ago that was even a thing. But yeah, I guess I will call it for the night there. I might take a crack at this again tomorrow or the next night to finish the refactoring. And once the refactoring is at an adequate place, if not a perfect place, then we'll probably move on to the animations, because I'm trying to push through the kind of boring technical game ng kind of stuff to get to the, more fun, more accessible game design kind of stuff. So hopefully we'll get there pretty soon. Who's on? I might do a raid here just for the hell of it. Yeah, here's a cool stream. So thanks for hanging out and stuff. Let's go raid this guy Peaches. He plays a lot of old games, but if you're not into that, or if you're not into what he's playing tonight, it's important. He has like the world's cutest dog. So let's go say hey to the world's cutest dog real quick. Yeah, thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next time. Have a good night.